What is up, Dallas Cowboys fans? It's your old friend IndyCarTim here with your Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz. Good morning. It's Cowboys at 7 a.m. It's never too early to talk Cowboys, is it? Even though they've been eliminated, even though there's not a lot going on, there are some things going on. And we're going to bring all of it to you as we get into Week 18. We're going to talk about Trevon Diggs. I didn't talk about it yesterday. I wanted to save that for its own thing today. Why he's gone, how we got here. We're going to offer a Week 18 rooting guide for you in case you're interested in kind of what we discussed yesterday morning with the whole are you cheering for the T-word situation? And it all comes down to draft picks at this point. And it could be a great, if you listened yesterday morning, you'll know it could be a great discrepancy in draft picks between a win or a loss for the Cowboys and what a number of other teams do. So we'll get into some of that. But before we get into the meat of the program, boys and girls, we got to do this. And I'm so happy that we're doing this again. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on this as it's time for the dad joke of the morning to get you started with a little chuckle, a little giggle, or maybe a face palm. I don't know. They're dad jokes, right? That's what they are. If you would like to submit a dad joke for the show, info@fanstreamsports.com. Just put in the subject line dad joke. Make sure you leave me your name so I can credit you, and make sure you leave me your address so I can send you a great FanStream Sports hat for you. I got a number of colors: black, blue, red, white. Just if you let me know what color you want, I'll send it. If you don't, I'll just pick something for you. Today's dad joke comes to you from Mark in Denton. Thank you, Mark in Denton. And Mark has submitted to us maybe one of my favorite ones so far. Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers? They say he made a mint. Thank you, Mark. We'll get that hat in the mail to you probably early next week before we get to it. Be looking for that. Brought to you by ZipRecruiter, of course. More on them later.
Struggling.
A little bit. It's early and I was up late. By the way, congratulations to the Miami Hurricanes for moving on, beating those Ohio State Buckeyes at AT&T Stadium last night. As the Hurricanes will now head on to face the winner of Ole Miss and Georgia. But lots of football today for you. Before we get there, let's get here. As the Cowboys have released Trevon Diggs, that's a headline that feels like it's from another universe right now. Trevon Diggs, the second-round steal, the All-Pro, the human turnover machine from 2021. Hadn't been that guy for a while, but, you know, he used to make quarterbacks pay for mistakes with interest, piling on mistakes. And now, poof, he's gone. So we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to talk about how we got here, the timeline, and why it ended like this. We're going to talk about what the Cowboys will do at corner, what they can do at corner, what they should do at corner. And as I mentioned, the Week 18 rooting guide, because if you're a Cowboys fan right now, your fandom has expanded to about 9 different teams for Week 18. Might as well make it fun. So let's get into it. First of all, this is the end of an era. Trevon Diggs wasn't just another guy on the roster. This was one of those kind of rare Cowboys success stories. Draft, develop, dominate. Different than the Mo Claiborne situation. Guy that you moved up considerably to draft. High expectations, just like you did with Diggs, but Claiborne never really materialized. Diggs did. Diggs was a problem for opposing offenses. And he was one of your own, your homegrown. And when you think about Diggs, think about his peak performance. Drafted by 2021, he's turning every game into a personal highlight reel. Six straight games with an interception, 7 picks in that entire run. The season was absolutely electric for Diggs. Quarterbacks tried to avoid him, but it didn't matter. Anywhere you threw the ball close to him, it's the potential for a pick six back then. The guy had closing speed like we hadn't seen from anybody since Dion. He would bait quarterbacks into throws. He would play off of the coverage. Then he would bait quarterbacks into throws, and he had the athleticism and the speed to close on that throw and make the quarterback pay. But it didn't last very long. In 2022, the interception totals took a dip, but his play was still complete, maybe even more complete. He was kind of less boom or bust on plays and more like becoming a real shutdown corner. But you could still call him a ball hawk. Early 2023, just before everything falls apart, he was playing maybe some of his best football of his career. And then September 2023, the ACL happens. And from that moment forward, the entire story changes for him. He comes back in September the following year, 2024. And like a lot of guys who suffer an ACL tear, and especially guys at cornerback, he's just not the same guy. He's still giving the effort, but that closing speed is gone. Some of that athleticism is gone. And, I've had 3 ACL tears. No, I don't have 3 ACLs. I tore both of mine, and then I tore one of the implants that they pulled from my patellar tendon. I tore it once. Once playing hockey or basketball, 2 times playing hockey. And I'm telling you, you just don't come back from. Now, of course, mine were all in the 90s, but I know medicine has changed, obviously. But, man, for guys who demand that much from their body, that has a tremendous impact on you. And once you've got the ACL, your body's not the same, and now you start to favor other parts of your body. You start to overcompensate. And then he started just having lower body issues. By December, we're hearing surgery again on the same leg. Now, you fast forward to 2025, the whole situation is weird. It's messy. It's all inconsistent. And it's not just on the field that things are weird, which leads us to what really pushed this thing over the edge, I believe. The incident that ended it. Not the incident that's the whole reason this happened. There's not one thing that this happened. If you heard Brian Schottenheimer's press conference yesterday, he addressed this specifically. It wasn't one thing that ended his time and ended Trevon Diggs' time in Dallas, and it certainly wasn't this thing that we're about to talk about. But here's what we know from the timeline most recently. After the Christmas Day game in Washington, Diggs asked Schotty if he could fly home later and spend some time with family. So there's 2 problems here. Number one, Diggs knows the rules. And there is a hard and fast NFL teams rule. It's not a league rule, but it's an NFL teams. Every team subscribes to this. Road trips are treated like business trips. You fly out together and you fly home together. Everybody, no exceptions. That includes coaches. That's the standard. It's always been the standard. And Diggs knows that. So, number one, my first problem is the fact that Diggs even asked. He knew what the answer was going to be. The reports are the Cowboys told him no. Diggs decided to stay anyway and not fly back with the team. And that was the line. because once you cross that line of, I'm just going to ignore the head coach, you're not having a football conversation anymore. It's not a football issue. That is a culture problem. You're having a discipline problem at this point. You're having a team rules are optional for me conversation. And the Cowboys as an organization after that basically said, cool, we no longer need your services here. But let's be honest, if this was 2022, 2021, 2023 Diggs, early 2023, there's a lot of teams maybe that would, I won't say make an exception, but maybe make an allowance for something to accommodate one of your stars. A lot of people said, well, if this was Dak Prescott, they would have let him stay. No, they would not have let him stay. They may have made arrangements for him to fly back immediately, which Brian Schottenheimer said in his press conference that he's done something like that before because you fly as a team. They flew back from Kansas City, I believe, one time when Schotty still had family up there, and he immediately hopped on a different plane and flew straight back within hours because you fly as a team. So if this was 2021, 2022 Diggs, maybe something would have been different. That's life. That's pro sports. That's stars. But the fact is he was not playing well. He wasn't contributing. And so that combination kills you. You're not producing and you're not buying into our team. So boom, you're out. And it's for Diggs, it's very, very unfortunate, man. I always liked Diggs. Sorry, my voice isn't working this morning. The part that stings if you're a Cowboys fan is it wasn't supposed to end like this. You know, you thought you had the dream pairing when Deron Bland exploded with pick sixes, and then the idea was simple. Cool, Diggs and Bland together, that is going to be a nightmare for offenses. And then they barely got to coexist in the secondary together at all in any meaningful way. We're talking about, I believe, 10 games total that they played opposite each other. And then more injuries. I mean, frankly, Bland suffered his share of injuries as well. It's not all on Diggs. Then you start having uncertainty about all of it, and then a lot of weirdness, and that just kind of takes a huge chunk out of your future plans. And the Cowboys at some point decided the what if is no longer worth the headache. So what does that mean moving forward for Dallas? Here is the reality for the Cowboys in 2026 at corner. Deron Bland, under contract, but he's coming off another foot surgery. Kalen Carson, who hasn't played well enough to see the field as a healthy scratch at certain times. Chavon Ravel, who's been up and down as a rookie, mostly down. And then you've got some Jordan Lewis type slot options that really don't help you if you don't have answers on the boundary at each corner. And that's basically your room. That's scary. That's not, we need to add some depth pieces in the offseason. That's, we need some starters in the offseason. And then it gets trickier because we don't even know at this point who the defensive coordinator is going to be. So scheme certainly matters. If you hire someone who wants like long press man corners, your shopping list is going to be different than if you're running a different defense. So if you hire someone like Brian Flores that we've talked about, who mixes a lot of different coverages and who doesn't necessarily favor young players, you're going to need to bring a ton of veterans in. And your shopping list changes even again. So Dallas has two paths here, I believe. Option number one, draft the corner early. There's going to be some talented guys in the draft, but as we've seen, rookie corners can take time unless your name is Trevon Diggs. And if you're trying to win now or soon, you can't roll out 2 rookies to play corner. It's not going to happen. Your second option is you patch all the positions with veterans. They don't have to be sexy names. They don't have to be jersey sellers. But competent NFL corners who can survive on Sunday would be your answer. A couple of veterans. And then you hope that the pass rush can help up front. A good defense isn't always about having one elite corner. It's not about having a weak link that offenses can target for 60 minutes a game. You can fill in holes. And something tells me they're going to be filling in a lot of holes on the defense. So that is the Trevon Diggs situation. That is how we got here. That is why we got here. And I saw late yesterday, it looks like he is signed. He is reunited with his best buddy, Micah Parsons, who of course is also hurt up in Green Bay. Kind of a weird move to me with one game left in the regular season. But going into the playoffs, maybe the Packers will use him. I don't know. I really wish the best for the guy, as I think most people do. But let's talk about our rooting guide from hell now as we soldier on here. Before we get to our rooting guide, though, we need to talk about your future. If you're hiring for your company, this is obviously the busy time of year for you because you've got new 2026 goals, which means finding the right people to help you accomplish those goals. But unfortunately, you may also have new hiring challenges for 2026, like filling specialized roles or identifying qualified candidates from, these job boards that just have huge pools of candidates. How do you sort through all of those without wasting your time? Well, thankfully, there is a place you can go to help you conquer those challenges and achieve your hiring goals. It is ZipRecruiter, and right now you can try for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database allows you to instantly unlock top candidates' contact info. So it's no wonder that they are the #1 rated hiring site according to G2. So let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all of your job roles, all of your employee needs. Because 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So go to this exclusive web address right now to try ZipRecruiter for free, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. It's on the screen if you're watching the video. ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Thank you, ZipRecruiter. So rooting guide, boys and girls, for Week 18. Who should we watch? Who should we cheer for? This gets complicated because, again, we're not cheering for the Cowboys to get into the playoffs. That ship has sailed. But as I talked about, I believe on Monday, the Cowboys have a couple of opportunities to increase their draft position. And it would behoove this team, if you had behoove on your bingo card for the day you win, to lose the game to the Giants. Now, I'm not using the T word. As I pointed out on Monday, there are ways to make that happen, or at least to increase the odds of that happening without T wording. So who are we rooting for this weekend? You're going to watch these games like a stock trader. You want the Buccaneers to beat the Panthers. You want the Falcons to beat the Saints. You want the Bengals to beat the Browns. You want the Colts to beat the Texans. You want the Vikings over the Packers, who may be resting their starters, by the way, at least some of them. You want the Dolphins to beat the Patriots. Patriots may be resting some of their starters. You want the Lions over the Bears. Bears might be resting some of their guys. And you want the Ravens over the Steelers. That's a big one for draft order positioning. This, oh, by the way, along with the Cowboys' loss to the Giants. If all of those things happen, the Cowboys can climb into the number 11 pick range, depending on results with all of this. Worst case scenario, the Cowboys are picking like closer to 20. And in the draft world, as we've discussed on this show, that there's a world of difference between like number 11 and number 18, number 12 and number 18, 11 and 19. As most draft so-called experts will tell you, once you get past 15 or so, those guys are more graded out as second rounders. But somebody's got to pick them in the first round. But here's the kicker for Week 18. Week 18 is also chaos. It's always chaos in the league because you have playoff teams resting their guys. They're protecting injured players. They're trying to play with their playoff seedings. So, upsets don't become upsets anymore. It's just kind of roster math for these guys. And literally anything can happen. But also important, the teams drafting around Dallas now, which would be like Detroit, Tampa, Baltimore, Minnesota, they're all likely going to be looking for defensive players too in the draft. So that's why moving up from like number 18 up to number 12, it's not just a higher draft number. It could jump you in front of some of these teams to maybe get the guy that you want. Whereas if you're picking lower, they'll be ahead of you, and you know what happens. Could be the difference between getting your guy and watching him go 3 picks ahead of you. So the other discussion here is to have the Cowboys trade back, and that's a whole nother segment we could do. Won't spend time on this, but if Dallas trades, probably won't be their top pick. It could be like that second first round pick that you have, especially if it lands like at 20 to, 19 to 23, something like that. There's a good chance that they would trade that pick to gain some other picks, maybe a player. But Dallas needs picks. They've got a ton of holes. If they can slide back into the late 20s and pick up a third or a fourth, or a third and a fourth, that's how you reload multiple spots instead of forcing a single cross your fingers and hope for a home run pick. So that's where we are, boys and girls. That is your Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz for this morning. Happy New Year to you, by the way. May have forgotten to mention that at the beginning of the show. Certainly Happy New Year to you. We hope you had a good Wednesday night, a safe Wednesday night. You're back with your loved ones or the ones you don't love, whoever it is. Don't wish that on anybody, to be quite honest. But we'll be back tomorrow with our final Cowboys Daily Blitz for the week to watch some football and watch the Cowboys lose to the G-Men, as we do. But until then, boys and girls, have a great day. Have a great first day of the ringing in the new year. And until tomorrow morning, we'll see you.